All right, a happy Saturday. We haven't done a playoff video of a team losing the first round, so this will be the first one. Team number 15 is the Memphis Grizzlies. You can read their article online. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, the article will be up. We've got a little bit of a delay here, so hopefully by the time this video comes out, you can go on ESPN.com. It's part of the off-season articles. It's one document. They're Team 15. That article was written after when would we write that? We wrote that article right after that Golden State loss, and then we've just kind of tweaked some things with it here. Certainly with them losing their pick to the Wizards, that changed some things as far as where they are. Um, where do we start? 48 and 34, you get swept you get swept in the first round. We all know that. The jaw injury, and certainly in game three, I don't want to say tilted the balance of the series, but certainly you would have probably went into a game four up 2-1, instead of a game four down I'm sorry. You would have went into a game, yeah, four down 2-1 instead of down 3-0, and who knows, right? But that is the reality of the situation, and a colossal loss on uh, the other night, Thursday night, I believe, and then certainly competed this year. That competed in this game. I am like dog ass tired. I took a red eye from LA and been working on a project. But back to Memphis. I think the theme is, and we talk about restaurants. I was joking with a couple teams when I was out in LA going to the Clipper game and the Laker game and stuff. They're like, what's your restaurant review going to be for Memphis? And probably my restaurant review was the food was good, but you fired a good cook. And there's going to be certainly Monday morning quarterbacking on Zach Kleiman, as far as firing Taylor Jenkins, and then basically team gets swept in the first round, and that is the reality of it. And I'm sure, is fully aware of it. It is amazing how things can turn quickly in this league. We do the future power rankings every year. The Grizzlies were number one in the future power rankings in 2022-23. What that does, it takes into account roster, finances, draft, management, everything. We look ahead to 3 years. They were number one. They were number four in 2023-24. I think last year they slipped to 12. Because I say that is because it's the reality of in this league, things change all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, that up and coming young and fun team that we watched is now there are major questions as far as what happens next with this roster. And in any time you lose and you get swept, there's going to be questions as far as where things go here. I think certainly you've got to figure out who's coaching this team next year. You elected to fire Taylor Jenkins, and rightfully so. If listen, Zach Kleiman knows the pulse of that locker room and the pulse of that team, and they were getting beat pretty good, and certainly there were games without Ja that they were getting beat pretty good. And do you want to remove the interim tag from Tomas Solo? I mean, you had what, about a month to evaluate? Is that what you want to do, or do you want to open up this candidacy and see where you are? I think if there was any positives, I guess silver lining is basically you got your doors blown off in the first two games, and the first game was non-competitive. And as I said, you probably should have won game three without the jaw injury, and you were in this game in game four. I mean, listen, it was a 2-3 point game for most of the day. So that's the big state of the roster as far as what happens with your head coach. You've got to get clarity. The second thing is what is going to happen with Jaren Jackson Jr. He turned down an extension in October for 3 for 106. He's extension eligible in once the NBA Finals is over for 4 for 146. Some of you out there will say, well, that's what his number is. Look at the playoffs. It's basically half of what he could probably get in free agency. What happens when you extend a player, and we give grades out and we, oh, that's a great grade for Memphis, right? Well, what happens was when you extend the player and the extension declines, and then you want to extend him again off that presents the problem. And the problem with Jaren Jackson is that his contract declines and you can only extend it off 140%. So if it starts at 30 and then all of a sudden it winds up at 22 or 20, for example, that's where you get that 4 for 146. I'm not going to speak for Jaren Jackson Jr. because $146 million is a lot of money, but the reality is that he will have a market for himself if he played out this contract and became a free agent in 2026. And then Memphis has to be in the situation where do you want a guy on an expiring contract if he doesn't sign an extension? There are two ways that gets resolved. The first, and I don't have a vote for all NBA, so I have no idea, I have no pulse, but based on, I guess, not finishing in the top three and all defense, can he get on third team? We'll see. I mean, Jalen Brunson and Jaylen Brown coming back. Certainly Jalen Brunson coming back. That hurts. The candidacy there, positionless, probably hurts him more this year because there's basically no center. If he earned all NBA, he would be eligible for 5 for 345. And people watching this would be like, oh my God, that's the Luka max, supermax. Yeah, that's a supermax when you make an all NBA team. I wish there were ways that you can kind of tweak the rules where if you make all NBA third team, it's a certain percentage, all NBA second team, a certain percentage, and then certainly all NBA first team, 35%. So maybe it's 35%, 32.5, and I don't know, 32, 31. I'm just spitballing here. Because this will be his first time, I believe it's his first time making all NBA if he does. So he would be Supermax. The majority of guys get to Supermax when they make all NBA, and it will be an interesting case study for that. Rudy Gobert is the only one who didn't get the full 35% there. So that's the one thing to watch. The other thing is if he doesn't earn all NBA, where Memphis is salary wise, and they did a nice job when they moved that Marcus Smart money, is there could be the option to renegotiate his contract with cap space and then extend off that. It's similar to what Domantas Sabonis did in Sacramento, Jonathan Isaac in Orlando. If you include that, Santi Aldama, who is a restricted free agent, who I think is a valuable part of this group, he has Memphis has about $7 million in cap space. So you basically would add that $7 million onto his current salary. Let me just pull it up here. I think you get to like 4 for 180, which is getting there. Let me find. Sorry, guys. Oops. So if you add the 7 to, so Jaren's at 23.4 next year. So you add the 7 to 23, you get 30, and then you extend off that 140%. So basically, I think it's like 4 for 185, 4 for 190. Does that make sense? It's hard to clear more money because you're basically, you have Ja at 39.4, Desmond Bane at 36.7, then Jaren at 23.4, and then you can move Brandon Clark if you're looking to maybe clear some more money possibly. So that is the other option as far as renegotiate and then extend off his contract. If not, the reality is that he probably will become a free agent if neither one of those things happen, because I don't see him signing for 4 for 146. What else do we have? We've got some free agents. Santi Aldama, I think, interesting restricted free agency just because there's not many teams out there. He's a guy I could see like Brooklyn, people always start labeling putting Brooklyn attached to like Kuminga. I could see like 4 for like 80 with Santi Aldama, something like that. He's a priority for for Memphis. Luke Kennard, Lamar Stevens, Marvin Bagley third. Those are your other free agents. If you use room, then you have your room mid-level exception, which is basically like $9 million. If you act as a cap space team, so that basically eliminates the renegotiation and extension, you will have the non-tax, which is at 14 million, and then you'll have the biannual, which is at, I think, 5.1, I want to say. Ja is going to be interesting. Ja is extension eligible, and Ja still has 3 more years at a huge number left on his contract. What do you want to do with John Morant? It's similar to Devin Booker in Phoenix, but certainly different players. The vulnerability part scares the heck out of me. And I know he's a competitor and he competes his butt off. The toll that since he's been in the league scares the heck out of me. He has played 120 games since he signed a 5 for 197 extension in 2022. Whew. Memphis has up until October 21st to add 2 more years, 61.7 and 66.7. That is a monster. Put him in a Grizzlies uniform through 29-30. That's a big decision to make, man. I don't think I could do it. And then what's the domino effect? What's the collateral damage there if you don't extend him? I mean, listen, we saw it with Joel Embiid. It's like when guys still have 2 or 3 years left on their contract, like let's just play it out. I couldn't do it. We'll see what happens. They have up until October 21st to do that. The team needs certainly healthy Morant. What is their identity? I mean, I don't know what the identity is. Jalen Wells, people are like, where are you going to be, man? Jalen Wells getting hurt was a killer. That hurt. That really hurt. And then you had Brandon Clark out already. But what is the identity of this group? Ranked 7th in defensive efficiency before the All-Star break. They finished the second half of the season 19th. What's the identity? And then draft assets. So they send their own first to Washington. They're allowed to trade. They've got 7 in the next 7 years. You can trade up to 4 starting at the night of the draft. So you could trade 26, 28, 30, and 32 if you wanted to. They have the right to swap first. They've got a funky swap with Phoenix and Orlando in 26, and they've got 6 seconds. So that's the state of the roster. And I know I'm not a peppy, but I've, as I said, I'm like dog ass tired. I'm watching this clip game too, which is pretty interesting. That's the state of the roster in Memphis. As a restaurant, food was pretty good, and then you fired the chef. I mean, that's probably my restaurant review for you. You guys have a great Saturday. We will talk soon.